Welcome to Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight our guest is Artur Wróblewski of Lazarski University. Sir,
good evening.
Let's start this conversation from the great event that's been scheduled for the next month. 3 weeks from now, Middle East Conference will be hosted here in Warsaw. And why Warsaw? Is there no other better places for such a conversation?
The big conference is upcoming and we should all applaud this event because it's building brand of Poland, the image of Poland as the country intermediary which is capable of holding conferences and helping to negotiate between the parties the peace and security in the world and in the Middle East. There is a controversy that Poland is holding this conference and maybe is getting involved in not its own business. And also Iran is criticizing Poland and to some extent bullying or intimidating Poland. However, let's remember, Poland is now holding the position of non-permanent member of the Security Council. It gives us a right and even obligation to get involved in important issues internationally.
Right. The Iranian Near East is a playground of big powers. China, Russia and the United States are trying to secure their positions on the
And we are
locally.
not a threat to anybody. We are neutral. We are medium-sized country. This is the best location, far away from the Middle East and all those demons we see there, to hold this conference in constructive way to discuss the future of peace and security in that area.
Let's talk now about the stakeholders of this conference and what is at stake.
At stake is the future of so-called nuclear deal with Iran. It was a deal called Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action signed in July of 2014 in Vienna. The future is of Iran. Whether Iran is respecting this agreement and whether Iran wants to be not a revisionist state, revolutionary state, which is now, but the state which will be promoting peace and respecting the provisions of that agreement. Unfortunately, there is a huge evidence that maybe Iran is not only respecting this agreement, but also is promoting terrorism, because it's supporting Hezbollah, is supporting Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Al-Quds in Syria, for example, is supporting Al-Hashd al-Shabi, other organization which is accused of violating human rights, and is also maybe sponsoring terrorism in the European Union. Let's remember that a few days ago, European Union, Brussels, has imposed sanctions on Iran for getting involved in terrorism on the territory of 3 countries, members of the European Union, because they were plotting to kill some dissidents from Iran. Let's remember that Germany right now suspended the license for Mahan Airlines to operate to 2 cities in Germany.
But that was after the crash in Iran.
No. It is for political reasons, under pressure from the United States, because Mahan Airlines, it's the first private airlines operating in Tehran and is unfortunately transporting weapons to the Middle East, to Africa, and is getting involved in some illicit actions. That's why Germany has suspended this license to operate, to fly to Germany. Of course, we know that the European Union and Federica Mogherini, which is like a foreign minister of the European Union, are against this conference a little bit, because the conference is will be without Iran.
As recently as yesterday, she said she will not show up in Warsaw.
She will not show up. Also, people from Russia will not show up. They just don't see this event as needed and necessary. And of course, the European Union is right now establishing a kind of clearing house, a kind of special vehicle purpose vehicle to still trade with Iran outside of sanctions imposed by the United States. So we see a clash of visions regarding the future of Iran. However, the most important issue is whether Iran is respecting this Iranian deal. And it seems that clause number 18 and other clauses are not fully respected by Iran.
From what you are saying, we can tell that the action of Iran are a secondary issue, but the first and the most important issue that should be worrying is lack of the unity of the so-called West.
Unfortunately, we remember that this important document has been signed by many signatories, and unfortunately only the United States wants to withdraw from this agreement. They did it already, and they contest this agreement. The Western parties to this agreement, like France, UK or Germany, wants to trade with Iran because it's a profitable business to sell cars or to sell, for example, planes from the European Union to Iran.
Yeah, the Iran is an underdeveloped country right now, but the potential is huge. There is no reason why people in Iran are not living like the level of Europe because of their national resources.
But remember that Iran is not ruled by democratic government. It's ruled by Islamic regime, which is a kind of revisionist state. We don't know really goals of this state, except that they want to destroy Israel, for example. They sponsor terrorism, even on the territory of the European Union. I mentioned the sanctions against Iran imposed a few days ago, and also probably secretly enriching uranium. In face of this, we should ask themselves a question, whether we really want to make money with this state, which is really a big question mark for our peace and security in the future.
Yeah, there is also a sort of block, upcoming bloc, the countries that are supporting each other, that's China and Iran. Obviously, we can say that there is a trade war between the China and United States, and that can change the predictions of the future. Only 3-4 years ago, we've heard the stories that China inevitably is going to oust United States from the top of economical position and its political influence. The sort of United States is fighting back. The question, how successfully?
I think very successfully. Soon, really, the Chinese economy will be bigger than the American economy, but of course it does not mean it will be more modernized and technologically advanced. That's why we have this trade war. Chinese are trying to steal some trade secrets from the United States, and this is what this war is about. Also, of course, currency manipulation and other issues like subsidizing Chinese industries by Chinese government are involved. But let's remember that China is now issuing bonds denominated in yuan. In Budapest, for example, China is introducing and implementing a kind of Visa or MasterCard, Chinese Visa card. It's called Union Pay. In Serbia, for example, let's remember that China is giving money to countries, and in this way, to some extent, connecting these countries to Chinese economy.
And when those countries are unable to pay the rates and benefit from the loans, they are just taken port,
of course, they
or
will
city,
be
or some piece of
overtaken. It's a modern colonization in this way, or imperialism, we would say. That's why they are giving money to Pakistan, over $60 billion, but even to countries in Europe like Serbia or Montenegro. They are giving money, and maybe those countries will not be capable of paying back quickly, and in this way will be permanently connected to China. Now we see that Europe, the world, is a playground of big powers, especially China and the United States, for the hegemony.
We are having in Warsaw this conference that sort of anchors us in this American Western world more than other countries of this region.
Let's remember that we have to look for allies, and we have to connect to someone. And Poland is trying to be close to the United States. That's why we are supporting this event, despite all that criticism. But let's remember that we have history of being intermediary. For example, Rapacki plan. Of course, it's 1957, we were under Soviet influence, but it was disengagement plan, which was also welcomed by the West. Later on, in 2003, for example, Proliferation Security Initiative, during the visit of President George W. Bush to Krakow. It's initiative against proliferation of nuclear weapons, for example, which is still valid and working today. So we should be intermediary, we should be active, we should not be intimidated by anybody.
More of that in the next upcoming shows, and Artur Wróblewski will definitely be our guest next time. Sir, thank you for this conversation, and that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.